Good morning, good morning.
Morning. Well, here it is, UFC main event, former title challenger. I mean, this seems like a big moment in your career. Does it feel that way to you?
Just feels like another fight to me. It's main event, so I get 2 extra rounds to finish Kai. Even better for me.
Nice. How much has that affected the way you approach training, knowing that you do have those 2 extra rounds?
Training, of course, gets different. We just train for 5 rounds instead of 3. But it's just another day in the office, so nothing I haven't been through before.
I know you've had a lot of big fights lined up and they didn't happen. Were you worried at all, like, is something going to happen this time? Or did you feel like this fight is going to happen the way it's scheduled?
Man, I just do my training, and pullouts can always happen. Injuries always happen. I know how hard training camp is, so if it happens, it happens. But I'm just focusing on myself, focusing on my own training, and just take it as it comes.
What do you think about Kai as an opponent? How challenging has it been to prepare for him?
He's a good opponent. Of course, he's number 3, but I'm here. I'm the next champion for the title. So whoever they want to put in front of me, I'll be ready.
You know the critics, right? They say, you haven't fought anybody yet. How can he fight for a title yet? How do you address those people that say, you haven't fought the names yet?
It's a lot of people that say that. They see my track record in the UFC, and they see names here and there. They're like, how can he jump to Kai Kara France straight away? I've been trying to fight these guys after every fight. I've been trying to get a ranked opponent. I've been calling these guys out. I was booked against Alex Perez. He didn't make it, of course. And then I was booked at Brandon Royval. He got injured too. So I've been trying to fight these top guys. So when I got Kai, now I'm happy. We're all finally here during fight week. And I'm going to show people why I'm the next champion.
You win here, is the idea that you wait and see what happens? I mean, do you make the call out right away? Hey, I should be next. Is that kind of the plan?
I don't need to do a call out. After this fight, they're going to know I'm next. I know I'm next. I want to fight in Abu Dhabi for the title. I'm going to finish Kai this Saturday night. And then I'm going to see how it plays out with Pantoja Moreno. Either one, may the best man win. And I'm next in Abu Dhabi.
I love it. You got the plan there. Last thing for me, you kind of said it, finish him. I mean, do you feel it's important? Some people might say it'd be good to get 5 rounds experience to know what it feels like, but do you feel like, no, it's got to be a finish this week?
To be honest, even if I try to do 5 rounds, I'm a finisher. I know I'm a finisher, and my track record speaks for itself. I finished almost all my opponents, so even if I try to keep it for 5 rounds, I'm going to finish the fight.
Hey, Amir. Who are some of your main training partners this camp?
I've been training with JP Buys, a lot of different training partners, Extreme Couture, Javed, Farid. I have my coaches, Dewey Cooper. I also have my coach back home, Professor X. So I have everything I need. I don't need anything more. I'm ready to go.
Can you talk about, I guess, what it means to headline a card, especially like the flyweight division? Because sometimes the UFC doesn't showcase the flyweight division, but they're showcasing it this weekend. And just what does that mean to you?
It feels good. The flyweight division is back. You know, we're back with a bang. I know it kind of died off a little bit, but now we're all putting on like great performances, great fights, and I hope flyweight division is gonna be the next hot thing.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
we're coming into this fight with a little bit of momentum, a couple of victories. I'm curious just kind of how it feels right now in your career.
It feels great. It feels amazing. You know, we're ready to test ourselves with Tim Elliott. He's a veteran. He's a fighter. And he knows he's coming to fight. We know we're coming to fight. So I'm really excited for this test in my career.
What did you think about it, right? Because as you said, a ranked opponent, you're still pretty new in your UFC run, right? To get somebody that's had this much experience, ranked, what were your thoughts?
Oh, there's no risk without reward. You know, there's no glory without a challenge. And if that's what we're aiming for, if that's what we want, then we have to be able to do the things that are required to do so. And taking into the rankings, going into the fight with higher rank opponents, that is what it's required for us to grow. That is what it's required for us to climb the ladder and achieve what is it that we want. We want glory, we want a legacy, we want the championship. So if I say I want that, I better show it up with my words and my actions.
Love it. Tim, obviously legendarily kind of just awkward and weird in the way he fights. How much did you try to get opponents to kind of mimic his style in training, or can anybody even do that for you accurately?
It's all about rhythm. You know, it's really impossible to say, you know, I'm going to expect this technique and I want to expect this sort of movement. You know, it's very difficult to be able to predict exactly how someone's going to do. The most important part to understand a fight is to understand the rhythm. When are they going to do something? You know, if you can anticipate when, then your skills will take care of the rest and navigate you through the skills required to defend that specific technique. All you have to do is make sure that you're in rhythm and you're ready for the win.
Smart approach. You talked about, you know, kind of wanting to rise. Have you thought about, like, where this puts you? I mean, beating a veteran, beating a ranked opponent. Like, are you looking in the rankings where you think you'll settle in, that sort of thing?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're going for number one. That is the ultimate goal. That is why we're here. That is why we're fighting. That is why we took Tim Elliott on a semi-short notice. That is why we took him after 2 weeks after my fight. So that's why, because we want to make sure we make it to the top.
Very nice. Last thing for me, I mean, this does feel like a huge opportunity for you in your career. So knowing that, do you feel like this added importance to go make some kind of statement, do something kind of spectacular, or is it just about, you know, let's get a win and move on?
We got to perform. We got to perform.
Víctor, gracias por tomar tiempo para hablar con la prensa. ¿Cómo se ha sentido esta semana estar aquí en Las Vegas, preparándote, alistándote para otro gran evento de UFC?
Se siente muy bien, espectacular aquí estar otra vez con todos ustedes, con Las Vegas, donde está el centro del deporte, es donde pasa todo. Tenemos el Performance Institute, tenemos el Apex y tenemos a todos los trabajadores, los reporteros. Básicamente es el centro de este deporte, así que pues estoy muy emocionado de hacer esta gran pelea para mi carrera, que es muy importante, y estar aquí en Las Vegas, donde todo en este deporte sucede.
Mencionaste algo que es padrísimo, que aquí tienen en Las Vegas, lo que el UFC les da a ustedes y les tiene preparados. ¿Pudiste entrenar un poquito en el Performance Institute o cómo ha estado el campamento?
Sí, de hecho no pude venir aquí al Performance Institute durante el campamento, pero ahorita que estoy aquí en Las Vegas, fui ayer y voy a ir hoy y también voy a ir mañana, ya que pues es una muy gran oportunidad. Tenemos todo lo necesario para no solamente practicar y mejorar nuestra técnica, pero también para hacer el corte de peso un poco más fácil.
Y mira, y exactamente porque, y mi próxima pregunta, porque el corte de peso va a ser un poquito más así afilado, ¿no? Porque te vimos hace unas 2 semanas.
Sí.
O sea, que regresaste bien rápido al octavo. ¿Cómo se siente el cuerpo? ¿Cómo crees que vas a poder darle peso y estar listo para el sábado?
Estamos bien, estamos en buen camino. Estamos en un peso en el que ya hemos estado antes. Una de las buenas cosas de regresar rápido es que ya estás en campamento, ya estás en la dieta, ya estás pues más o menos listo en condición para la otra. Y una de las cosas que también es un reto es cuando regresas tan rápido, es que a veces necesitas saber cuánto descanso necesita tu cuerpo, ya que acabas de tomar una pelea, acabas de tomar un campamento, necesitas pues asesorar cuánto más necesito entrenar y cuánto necesito recuperarme de lo que acabo de hacer. Pero creo que hemos hecho un buen trabajo en balancear muy bien cuánto recuperar y cuánto entrenar, y estamos listos ya para el sábado.
Pues estamos listos para verte en acción. Finalmente, ¿qué piensas de tu oponente? Porque tienes un veterano que ha subido a lo más alto del deporte de tu categoría.
Sí.
Y es un nombre, probablemente el más que podemos reconocer en tu carrera. ¿Cómo se siente este sábado tener a Tim Elliott como oponente y alguien que te puede llevar a lo más alto del UFC?
Me siento agradecido por esta oportunidad, agradecido por darme a mí mismo la motivación, la dedicación, agradecido a mi equipo por darme todo este apoyo, todo este entrenamiento, agradecido por mi gimnasio, por toda la gente que está aquí, que contribuye al deporte, y me siento pues muy emocionado porque al fin voy a tener pues una oportunidad para enseñarle al mundo de qué estamos hechos.
De acuerdo, muchas gracias y buena suerte el sábado.
Gracias. Thank you, guys.
Jerry, I know it's just been about, I think, 6 weeks at this point from the last no contest. Over it yet? Have you moved past it? Have you left it behind, or is it still a little frustrating?
I love no contests. I was very frustrated at first, but what am I going to do, right? And, you know, I believe I was winning that fight. I thought I looked great. I was doing my thing, and then all of a sudden I was like, what happened? But, you know, the weeks following, I was wondering, oh, what now, what now? And then, you know, I got a call from my manager, and he was like, you want to fight Jim Miller? I'm like, when? And it was 17 days notice. And I was like, well, let me get on the scale, see what I weigh. And I was like, I don't know, maybe I should go for a run before I get back to my manager. I was 193 when I got on the scale, yeah. Super bloated, eating, you know, like an animal. But I was training. I got back in the gym fast, so I'm in shape. I was in shape, but the weight was, you know, a questionable issue, but I'm good. Weight's good, yeah. So.
And so you got the call. I mean, were you itching to get back in? Like, after that, was it a frustrating result? Were you like, dude, you got to get me back in right away?
I mean, after the last two, of course. I was like, what's going on here? Why is this happening to me? And yeah, you know, I was like messaging my manager, what's next? And he was like, oh, maybe you shouldn't, you know, take a little time off, fight in October. I was like, October? It's like 6 months away. And then like 2 days later, he called me. He's like, you want to fight in 17 days? So yeah, I was definitely itching to get back in there, and here I am.
Was there any talk with the team or anybody about, like, is this too quick of a turnaround? Because I know emotionally you want to be there, right? But physically, you know, was there any talk, like, is that safe? Is that smart?
Oh, of course. You know, I had a minor concussion, but I got over the symptoms fairly quickly, and I did everything I could to recover, you know, supplements. I was in a hyperbaric chamber for the last 6 weeks. And, you know, at this point in my career, I was like, you know, sometimes you got to risk it a little bit, right, to get what you want. And I think, you know, a little bit of risk is not too bad. I mean, I'm risking it anyways going in there, even if I didn't have that outcome 6 weeks ago. So you know, I was like, let's do it. And this is what we do, right? We fight. You know, I make a living doing this, so that's another reason to do it. They gave me a new contract, the UFC, another deal, and, you know, a bump in pay, and I think it was worth it. You know, I could have been, or I was on my way to being, or I should have been 3-0 on that contract. You know, I beat Leo Santos, I beat Patty, but I lost. And then this one, I was on my way to winning, the Bobby one. So I would have had leverage. So then, you know, I was 1-0-1 after that. So I was like, this was just a great opportunity for me to get another contract and get back in there with a legend and Jim Miller, and I think stylistically it's a great fight for me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about. I mean, obviously Jim Miller, future Hall of Famer. I mean, I don't think there's anybody that doesn't respect him on the roster. So what do you think about him as an opponent?
He's tough, hard-nosed, always brings it, he's always game, but I believe that I'm better, you know. He lost to an opponent that I had faced and beat. Not that the MMA math ever adds up, but I know I can get the job done against anyone. So let's do it, And I know it's going to be a fight, He's not finished easily, You can't just get him out of there quickly, and he comes out, and just when you think like he's getting tired, he explodes, and he's a southpaw. He's got a great. He's got great weapons, and on the ground he's a savage also. So it's not like, there's nowhere in this fight where I could just get lazy. But I think it's a great fight for me.
Last thing for me is working back to Bobby Green. Does that matter to you at all? I know immediately kind of wanted to do it, and the UFC went a different direction. But is that a fight that needs to happen again?
It's funny. Like the night before I got the call, I saw that he got the fight with Tony, and I was like, that should be my fighter. That's a big name, obviously, Tony Ferguson, and it's on a great card. But, get past Jim Miller, and then who knows what's next. I mean, I want a top 15, and I believe that I've proven that I can do that and hang with these guys. So, maybe down the line, but, everyone above, I'm like been hanging around the top 15, outside the top 15 for a while now. And it's like, I want to catch a break and get a win and get a top 15 opponent. So that's really what I'm looking for. I don't care who it is, but I want to fight forward.
Hey, Jared.
Alex.
I know that you wanted that Tony Ferguson fight. You were asking for that fight. So when Bobby got it, like, how annoyed were you?
I wasn't that annoyed. I was asking for it a while ago, and like he wasn't really on my radar, especially after Patty and then after fighting Bobby. I wasn't even thinking about Tony Ferguson. And then, I think like a couple days before that, he, had a little incident driving. So that was like, I didn't think he was going to be fighting anytime soon. So, no, man, I was lost for a little bit after Bobby. I was really depressed. I was down on myself. And I was like, none of this is worth it. I was having a pity party for like 2 weeks. And then, I got this call. So I think it's just, everything happens for a reason. Everything aligns the way it's supposed to align. And, God makes things happen in my life where, I think I want things. I want this, but he gives me what I need. So that's what I'm going with.
It's the side of the side of the fighter that you were just talking about, like behind the scenes, where like people don't see you, see your emotions when you're home. So like, I guess how hard was it, knowing that you would beat Patty and then this incident with Bobby Green, and then you go home and you're like, what the hell just happened? Like, how do you get through that? And like, how hard was it?
So the week after the fight with Bobby, my friend was getting married in New York. So I went to New York. I was in, my old home, my stomping grounds. I was in Manhattan. I was enjoying myself. And then we came back to Florida, and then it hit me. And I remember, I would have times where I was sitting in the couch or in the shower, and I was like really upset. Like, I feel like I'm doing all the right things, trying to be of service to people and do what I think I should do. And, you don't get the outcomes that you think that you need, or the outcomes you want. And, there was times where I was really depressed, man. And I was talking to you about it. Like, the way that my brain, I'm sick. The way my brain works, like, I'll have moments where I'll just throw it all away. F the UFC, F my wife, F my friends and everything I have, and I'm going to go crash and burn because, that's how I find comfort. I find comfort in darkness, and that's the way I used to cope with things. And, luckily I have a great support network around me and people that lift me up and guide me, my wife, my number one, and my friends and everyone around me sober, and they were like, you got to get out of this, you got to get out of this. And I changed a couple things up and started doing a couple things differently that following week. And then within 3 days, I got a call, and things started looking better. And within 24 hours of changing my thought process, I was like, oh, I feel good today. I feel way better. And then 2 days later, I got the call for this. So I was like, oh, my life's great again. And, as humans, we tend to just be negative. We have negative biases towards everything, It's just our primitive nature to look at the negative stuff. We never look at the stuff that we've been blessed with and given. We're always looking at the stuff that has screwed your life up, or what, you think has screwed your life up. So it's hard to always stay grateful. And that's something that I should do. I mean, look, I think my career is, better than it's ever been, and, I'm doing better than I ever have. So, I just have to pull myself out of that slump and just keep working hard, and here we are.
Thanks for sharing that, man. I guess just finally, is a rematch with Diego Ferreira something that,
No, I don't ever want to fight Diego again. He's so good. And we're friends now. It's funny, all of my past opponents, I'm friends with. Even yesterday, I had a little thing with Patty on. He got married or something, and someone tagged me, Patty's dad or something like that. And I responded, and I was like, look, I hope he had a great wedding, and I hope he has a great career, and I hope that he recovers from his ankle surgery. And he responded, he's like, thank you for the kind words. Thank you for, I hope you do well also. And, everyone that I fought, it's like Grant Dawson, I'm friends with him. Joe Selecki, we talk. And Diego, I see him all the time, and he's so good, dude. He's a savage. He's black belt champion. He has knockout power. I mean, there was a time where he beat 3 Dagestanis in a row, and I remember thinking that was a good win. That was a good loss for me. I didn't lose to just some other guy, And he went on a 7-fight winning streak after me, or something like that. And he was ranked, and all his fights have been great. Gregor Gillespie, Beneil Dariush. Those were savage fights that I wouldn't really want to partake in that kind of fight, because someone's getting hurt, and you're going to be really tired. But no, I mean, Diego's a great guy, and I wish him the best also. And he did just beat my teammate though, Michael Johnson, and Michael was looking great. And then, you know how this game works, man. One shot and it's over. But no, I already fought him. Let's get someone else on there,
Awesome. Thanks, man.
No problem. That's it? Man, come on. All right. Thanks, guys.
What's up, guys?
Morning.
And you got the win the last time we saw you, obviously back in March. I guess just how important was that? You know, it'd been a while. You've been through some stuff. How big was that for you?
Man, it was real big, man. I needed that. You know, I was off for like what, almost 2 years, man. I've been off, so I needed that win. You know, especially close to home. It was perfect.
I bet. Could you feel the difference? I mean, after that in yourself. I mean, I know you got to have like self-belief, right? But just to get in that moment, it has to kind of affect you.
Oh no, yeah, yeah. You know, like coming back and then they're calling me for this fight right off the bat. I'm like, let's do it. You know.
That's. I was gonna ask you, a 10-week turnaround. Was that like you making up for lost time, or they just called, or I mean, what? It's happened pretty quick.
They called at the perfect time. You know, I was just getting out of a camp. I was getting fat, and I was like, you know what? Might as well take it. Let's do it. So it was good, man. You know, I just felt like I've been in a long camp. You know,
Well, just say, is it? Sometimes I hear it's beneficial. Sometimes it's challenging, right? Like you didn't get any time to recover, really, I guess. But you can keep the momentum going as well. I guess which one was it most for you?
Yeah, I didn't really get time to recover too much, but I mean, I think it's good, because I didn't really come out with too much, little bumps and bruises there. So I think it was perfect timing, man. And perfect timing, perfect opponent.
Nice. Talk about the opponent. I mean, obviously, Alex, a veteran of the game, been around for a long time. I mean, you have too, but he's been here for a long time. I guess what are your thoughts on him as an opponent?
Man, I think this opponent we make a perfect matchup. He's a veteran. I mean, I'm a veteran. I'm thinking I'm a veteran. I've been in the game for a long time. So I think it's a good match, man. I think he pushes forward, at the right times. I push forward all the time. So I think we're going to give a hell of a fight.
Yeah. Stylistically, it does. It looks like it's going to be a pretty exciting fight on paper. Do you let yourself go into fights thinking like that? Because that sounds like it's going to be back and forth a little bit.
I think I don't plan on making it back and forth. I plan on just finishing 1 or 2 rounds. So it's going to suck for a lot of people, but I will finish him.
Very nice. So you got a new contract out of the deal as well?
Oh, yeah. That's why I said yes. I was like, a good contract, better contract with a ranked opponent. Let's do it.
I dig it, man. So a win here, as you said, ranked opponent, another name that's known. I mean, is it now I need some time off, or is it like let's just keep this ball rolling?
You keep it going, man. Keep it going. But I do want to take at least one more fight by the end of the year. So, take a little couple months off, and then not off like off the gym, but off like not trying to cut this weight. That's what kills me is this weight cut.
Hey, man, I remember after your last fight you were saying, look, if I don't get a better deal, I'm kind of wishy-washy. So I'm just getting the sense someone's got a bit of motivation here. You look like you're reignited. Do you feel like now you're being recognized financially by the promotion that you're like, okay, I'm back?
Exactly. And now they start recognizing that I'm finishing everybody. So, that's one thing that people weren't really talking about until, they said something about it and, they're starting to recognize it,
Yeah, is that a funny feeling or even a nice feeling where you're like, this fact that like, hey, I'm here, kill or be killed, and then suddenly they mention it on commentary, and then the next thing you know is like, oh yeah, this guy does finish or do it every time, like let's go. Is it funny that now you recognize like, oh, I'm being recognized?
Yeah, and that's one thing that I've said. I was like, man, I need to recognize that I go in there to finish everybody, Like I'm not in there to leave it to no judges. It's like when I get finished, or I'm going to finish them. That's the way I fight. So yeah, I'm happy that people are actually recognizing it, that I don't play around. I go into the fight.
Plus a co-main event slot. It's the potential to keep building that recognition, right?
Yeah, now we're in co-main event, and you never know. Might be main event.
Hey, Daniel, back here. I know you don't want to give away too much, but what does a game plan look like for a guy like Alex Caceres that throws all sorts of tricky stuff? Like I know his last fight against Julian Erosa, he threw his knockout was it was the same side. He threw a punch and then he threw a head kick from the same side. Something that not a lot of guys are able to do, right? So, yeah. What kind of sparring partners do you have for a guy like that?
I got a couple of southpaws training partners. Honestly, man, I don't really look at what he does. I keep to my game, and I'm gonna keep pushing my game. My game is coming forward, putting pressure on him, and try to finish him. So I really don't. I don't like looking at my opponents because then I start thinking about what they're gonna do. I like keeping to my game plan. My game plan is pushing forward and finishing them. If it's by knocking them out or submitting them, whatever he chooses.
And I've talked to him in the past, and he kind of says the same thing. He says, I don't watch a lot of fights. He says, I kind of just play video games. What do you think about that? Man,
that's cool because I play video games too. After this fight, we'll play video games together. But it's crazy, man. Whenever when you start watching your opponent too much, then you start thinking too much about what they're good at. You know what I'm saying? You just got to go in there and do what you're good at and just push forward, man. Do your game plan. And my game plan is what? Finish everybody. Good? All righty. Thank you, guys. Bye.
So another fight, another change of opponent, everything
Yeah.
moving around. I mean, that's just kind of just normal at this point.
Yeah, business as usual. I think so. That's 3 in a row that opponents dropped out like 2 weeks or less from the event, and I think it's maybe nine times total in my career with the UFC. So we're like 25%. So yeah, so it's business as usual. You know, I train to be the best fighter that I can be every out. So you know, and at this point, I fought everybody from the tall, lanky, 6'4" lefties to guys my height and righties and grapplers and wrestlers and strikers. So I appreciate it when guys are willing to step up, because there are a lot of fighters that say, anytime, any place, anywhere, and sometimes those guys don't say yes. So, so yeah, I'm appreciative that Jared hopped in here on 2 weeks' notice.
Is there ever a situation where you wouldn't say yes? Like, is there an opponent that could be so different to the guy that you were booked that you were like, I can't do that on a week's notice or something like that?
No, not really. I mean, for me, it's really always just been the opportunity to fight. Because like what I'm really chasing and always have been chasing is that like perfect fight. And any skill set that an opponent brings could be that one. Where I go out and I'm like, that was as close to perfect as we're gonna get. So yeah, and I'm stubborn as hell if you haven't noticed yet. So like when I get that date, because I could have waited for Klein, until like mid-July, but I'd already put in, a month of training and been busting my butt, and I didn't want to have to do it for another 2 months. So I want to fight, so. And I want to end my career like I started my career, which is being aggressive and fighting and being active. So that's what I'm going to do.
As much as you love to fight, I wonder how much of your life outside of like the actual fight is spent thinking about MMA? Because like I look at you on social media and it's farming, it's brewing, it's grilling, it's health. I mean, are you thinking about MMA as little as possible outside of fights themselves?
I try. Yeah, that's kind of the goal. Because like, the personality type that made me fall in love with this sport is that I like learning. I like learning new skills. I like sucking at stuff and dealing with failure and overcoming it. So I like to do that stuff outside the octagon as well, and like I'm a busybody. I can't do the playing video games or watching Netflix, stuff like that. That's not me. I need to be tinkering with stuff and getting my hands dirty and it's just like when I don't get to do that stuff. Like so we moved a couple years ago and. I don't have a workshop at my place. Like I built 2 sets of nursery furniture and did our kitchen cabinets in our old place and did all this stuff. And it's like I've got a bunch of shop tools that I don't have a place to set them up, and it bugs me and it like eats me alive. So yeah, like I obviously I find stuff to do, but like I enjoy that type of stuff because you gotta be you, and like a guy like Donald Cerrone, like he's always doing his stuff, as he was fighting, and people would give him shit for being Donald, and it's like, man, like he's still going out and he's performing and he's doing the things that he needs to do to take his mind off of it, to relax, to actively recover, and all sorts of that, all that other stuff. So I always appreciated that about him, that he was the same guy, whether it was 2 weeks out from a fight or, he had just fought a couple weeks ago. And I'm kind of the same way. We have some similarities in what the stuff we like to do, and then we've got some differences. But like he's always one of those guys that I appreciate that about him.
matchup with Jared. I know, like, there's a lot of guys on the roster you might not know a whole ton about, but this guy, I imagine you'll have crossed paths a little bit, East Coast, kind of veteran, been around. So just give me your thoughts on him as a guy, as a fighter in the matchup.
Yeah, I like it. Like I don't, like I said, I really don't, it doesn't really matter to me, like, who's stepping across. Sometimes those unknown guys, it's more pressure, it's more uncertainty. I like fighting guys that I've seen fight a bunch of times, and then I'm a fan of. And I've watched Jared over the years. He fought a few of my training partners, years ago before he got into the UFC, and he's a guy that we could have crossed paths at any time, over the years, and we just haven't. And I like the matchup. I think it's an exciting fight, I'm pumped for it.
Last thing for me, we know the march to 300 still continues on, or maybe beyond that. We'll see. Does the mullet go with you the whole way?
I don't know. It's starting to grow on my wife a little bit. So, that was the big hurdle to get over. So, yeah, she's starting to appreciate it a little bit. My boys were watching Roadhouse the other day, and I was like, that's what my hair was before I got the haircut. I had to trim it out of my eyes. It was getting bad, but I was like, I was there.
Hey, Jim. What was the biggest thing that you took from your loss to Alexander Hernandez?
It was a close fight, right? I had some of the media outlets that picked me as the winner. The thing of it is I'm never going to change the way that I fight, especially at this point, right? What got me into MMA was watching guys like, Fedor and Matt Hughes, Chuck, Henzo, Vanderlei, like these guys that just went out and they fought their asses off. They weren't point fighting. And I mean, I went out there and I feel like I had more instances where I had opportunities to finish the fight than he did. And I know that the fights aren't scored like they were back in the Pride days. But if it was, I think I win that fight. And, and I think there are a few fights that I've lost through my career that if the fight was scored on, who was trying to finish the fight more, I probably would have won. And then there's probably, a fight or two that I've lost. Specifically the second Lozon fight. If they've scored that as who was trying to finish the fight more or who came closer to finishing the fight, then he wins that one. But that's the way that I fight. Like I'm never happy when it goes to the judges. Even the dominant, decision wins that I've had. It's not what I step into the octagon to do. I step in there to dominate and to put my opponent away because that's what excites me. So. The takeaway is sometimes fighting the way that I fight sucks, and it costs me money and it costs me a W on my record. But in the grand scheme of things, I won't change. I won't have it any other way. I think it still just builds a legacy. And I mean, aside from that, also on eye pokes and gloves and stuff like that, it's not the gloves. I would really like to see like they did back in the Pride days. I would like to see percentage purse deductions and points immediately, like zero tolerance, because it's not an accident. It's not the glove that causes it. It's the tentativeness in the person throwing the strikes is what causes it.
Who wins in a fight, a UFC flyweight or an NFL linebacker?
I'm probably going to go with the UFC flyweight, honestly. Just more ways to win. I think better conditioned to deal with the pace. you wrap your arms around somebody's neck and they go unconscious, you know. So it's a tough fight. It's always a tough fight. Size and strength are tools, you know. They're weapons, and I am 100% on the like strength and conditioning side of this. I believe that the sport is, it's a clear 50-50 split, you know, and obviously like there are fighters that are better athletes that aren't as technically proficient, and there are fighters that are super technically proficient that aren't great athletes, and they make up for it. Size and strength, and having sparred with plenty of guys that are like pushing 3 bills, it sucks, you know, and I mean, one of the things that I always used to say is I would have fought my brother, you know, and the thing is it's going to be a tough fight for me because I was a smaller guy, you know, and I know that if like I could catch him in jiu-jitsu, I could take him down wrestling, I could land good shots. But when you add it all together and then he's able to fatigue me for 15 minutes, it's going to be a much harder fight for me, you know. So, but yeah, flyweight.
Thanks, man.
Jim, you mentioned earlier the perfect fight.
Yep.
How close have we gotten to that, or with who did you have the closest to that perfect fight?
Probably the closest was Fabricio Camo's. Honestly, you know, I submitted a 3rd-degree black belt from my back, you know, with an armbar, and he was fresh, he was uninjured, so that was pretty close. But he took me down and he hit me a couple times. So like that's the thing that, you know, kind of stands out in my mind, where it's like, man, it still could have been better. There've been a couple that have been pretty close. You know, it's got to be part it's got to be, you know, dominant and violent, but it also has to be a little bit like I need to be pushed a little bit too. So like that's the hard part, right? It's like figuring out like what exactly, like on the spectrum, is it, you know, me and Lozon 1, you know, or is it like those dominant come in and steamroll somebody? I think it's somewhere in between, you know, and it's the unicorn that I think I'll never catch.
All right, well, I hope you do this weekend. Last for me, you mentioned being a fan of guys. What made you a fan of the person you signed up to fight this Saturday?
Just his aggressiveness. He comes out to fight. Like he's not somebody that's out there to point fight. He's not. You know, sometimes like I understand the game. I've been around for a long time. I was pressured, you know, over a decade ago to like, hey, you know, become the heel, you know, sell the fights more, this and that. But like I said, that's not what made me fall in love with the sport. You know, and Jared's a guy that goes out and he fights hard and he does his thing and you know, like he had a crummy decision that didn't go his way, and there are probably plenty of athletes on the planet that'd be, you know, pissing and moaning about it, and he didn't. He hopped right back on there and you know, hopped into another fight.
Excellent. Thank you, sir, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Guy back after 11 months, officially back, getting ready for a main event. I guess what's the emotions like for you right now as you get ready for another big fight?
Yeah, it's awesome to be back in Vegas, and it's been a bit of a layoff, but was out of my control. A little back injury kind of kept me from, I guess, training, and it was one thing that I neglected in my career, just investing back into my body and mobility, stretching, until it pretty much humbled me until I couldn't do anything. So I had to rest for about two months and then could slowly build again. So great thing about being where I'm at in my career, I could kind of give a time frame of when I wanted to fight, and it all came about perfectly. So I'm glad to be here. It's been a great camp, 12 weeks we've been building for this date. So yeah, I'm ready to get in there and remind everyone why I'm the best flyweight in the world.
Love it. I know heartbreaking to not be in that last competition, but it sounds, you said you couldn't do anything. So was it an easy decision to make, even though I know you wanted to fight? Was it easy to say, I just absolutely can't, or did people have to talk you out of it?
No, I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't bend over. I couldn't tie my shoe. So how am I going to get ready for a fight and give the fans what they want to see? And it was awesome to be in Perth, in Australia as a guest fighter, and seeing all the fans and seeing how excited they were to have UFC events back in our side of the world. So they're coming back in September, so I'm not looking past, obviously, this weekend, but it's great that the UFC are coming back to that side of the world.
So, obviously after a loss, you want to get back in there and get rid of that feeling, right, and move past it. So has that loss lingered with you over that time, or have you been able to process it and learn the lessons and move past? What's it been like for you?
Yeah, it's a lot of positives that we could take away from that last fight, where it just showed we're right there with the best guys. If we went back that night and things went a bit differently, I could be here for the bout now. It's just what happens at the highest level of sport. That's just how it is. It's a game of inches. So, we've taken away positives. We've worked on stuff that we need to, and I left that in the cage. I didn't take it with me. I've been a person to just go again. That's my whole career. I just keep turning up for myself, and we keep building and progression. So, I've taken losses before, and I know how to build myself back up. So I'm looking forward to, reminding everyone and showing why I deserve to have have another title shot. Yeah.
It sounds like you're thinking more about, where a win gets you and, where you are. So I was just wondering what the matchup was. They offer Amir, who's kind of new name to the rankings, maybe not as much hype or whatever. What was your thoughts when that was the matchup that was presented?
Yeah, I just told Mick, it was actually in Perth when I saw him, I said, I want to get a fight booked. And he said, well, I'll get a few names going and we'll see who's available. So there's a few things that were kind of factors, but Amir was the guy that was closest to my ranking and available. So, these contenders that are on win streaks, momentum, hype, they want to take my spot. I'm number 3, and I welcome it. I want to fight the best guys. So, he's a great fighter. He's a great grappler, great wrestler, got momentum. But I'm here to take all that. I'm here to show him that there's levels to this, and that's what I'm going to be doing on Saturday.
We see a lot of times guys that are in your position, though, even maybe coming off a loss, are like, top 5. I don't know if I'm going to go that far where it's down. Was there any part of that in you that was like, well, that guy really hasn't earned his way to me yet?
I'm not going to overlook anyone, and a fight's a fight, and I got to respect the sport, and I'm just here to compete. I'm here to compete against the best, and it just happened to work out that the main event for this fight fell through, and then Mick said, do you want it? And I said, of course. I'm here to obviously make more money and more eyes on us. So it's great that the flyweight division are having a main event slot, because it's one of the most exciting divisions in the UFC, and it's awesome that the UFC trusts me to be able to deliver. They know that I come for finishes, I come for knockouts, and I'm always in exciting fights. So it's nice that the UFC see that, and I get to go do that Saturday.
So last thing for me, Amir was in here earlier, and he said he is looking at this as a number 1 contender fight for himself. Do you feel the same way? I know you said you're right there, and you want to earn back. Do you think this enough alone would be enough to get you a title shot?
All I can do is go out there and show my worth, show what I'm capable of, and I'm not here to rush back into a title fight. I'm just here to show everyone why I deserve it. So Saturday night, me and Amir get to square off. I get to challenge myself against a challenger that's got momentum, and that will be just that will put me where I need to be. So that's all I'm focused on. I'm not going to overlook anyone. I've had opponents that overlooked me because they didn't think I was worthy enough, but I got to respect Amir, respect the sport, and I know that a fight's a fight. So he'll realize that when I land my first right hand, and yeah, it's going to be a bad night.
Hey, Kai.
Hey.
Who are you taking, Brandon Moreno or Alexander Pantoja?
I've been asked this a few times today. Yeah, it's a great fight. It's a fight that's got a lot of history. You know, of Pantoja winning twice against Moreno. I feel like Moreno's a different fighter since they last fought. And I feel like he has another level of confidence since being the champion. So I feel like that might be a factor. I feel like the aggression and the pace and the pressure that Pantoja puts on Moreno, I feel like he'll deal with it. But regardless who I think is going to win, I think it's going to be a great fight and great for the flyweight division.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Kai, I know you spoke about this with Submission Radio, but for the benefit of us in the room, how inspirational was Israel's win over Alex Pereira?
It's just shocking, like how it happened, the backstory, everything about it. But the way he did it, it was like he knew exactly what was going to happen. And I always had confidence in Izzy, but yeah, just to see him do it like he did, I've said it before, and it's definitely one of the biggest sporting moments in our generation. Not even just for New Zealand, but in the world, just everything that was involved. So I take a lot away from that because, you know, a guy that he's lost to 3 times and still has the confidence and the self-belief that he can still get it done just shows me that I'm still right there. I never lose hope of what the goal is, and that's to be a world champion. So, yeah, it's massive.
We saw Alex Volkanovski's reaction to it. He was screaming and shouting at the TV. Was yours pretty similar?
Definitely. I had the whole, a few of the teammates at my house, and I think we got noise control called because we were shouting and screaming and losing our minds. Just so happy for him to be able to do that, and how much pressure was on him. It was like him being free in there because it's already happened before. He already lost. He already got knocked out. So what's the worst that could happen? So to see him do it like that, and yeah, just to see him so happy, it was awesome.
Hey Kai, just one over here. You had posted about it on social media as well. You were signing some posters, and you said, this is the first of many to come. What was that like to finally see your face, on a main event poster and be able to sign it and be like, man, I'm really getting this main event and I'm doing this for the first time, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. Like it's pretty like humbling knowing the journey that I've come from to now be here in Vegas and to represent my country. It's little moments like that. You have to really take it for what it is, and it just lets me know I'm exactly where I need to be. So yeah, like being away from fighting for a little while, I was able to document or do a doco filmed in New Zealand, and it was on a mainstream platform back home, and it documented my journey from when I first started to now, how I get ready for a world title fight. So it was cool to get a new audience involved, supporting me that don't necessarily watch fighting, and just to have my family involved, my wife, my mum and dad, my brother, my coaches, my teammates talk about me and where I've come from. It's just full circle because there's only 1% of people, especially from New Zealand, that get to do this. So I'm grateful that I keep turning up for myself, and look where we are now, headlining a card in Vegas, and I get to get my title contention back on track. Awesome. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Damn.
How's it going, guys?
You're back. It's fight week, co-main event, another big opportunity. I mean, emotions get high, excitement, still just business as usual?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it business, it's play. Life is play. But yeah, emotions are not necessarily high, but I am excited. I guess you can call that an emotion as well. But yeah, it's a great feeling. You know, I'm right back. It's like deja vu again.
Well, speaking of deja vu, I think this is, 7 straight fights here at the UFC Apex, I believe. I mean, 5-1 during that stretch, if I believe I calculated right. I just wonder,
6-1.
6-1. Well, 5-1 here. I think the other one was outside of it.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I'm just curious, I mean, your thoughts on being here. Like you said, I wonder if you're that kind of guy that kind of likes that routine, kind of likes that, I know we're going to show up here, we're going to go there, we're going to do that.
No, it doesn't make a difference to me. When I was at 135, I was fighting all over the place, and I went 2 years unbeaten. So I think I just hit a stride right there. I'm beginning to understand a little bit better. Even when I couldn't say that even when I was on that win streak, when I was at 135, I couldn't say that I understand my mind a little bit better, or I have a little bit more faith in my body and its actions a little bit better. I think that's the biggest difference. And it might come with maturity. Maybe I'm growing a little bit more. I'm becoming more of a man. Maybe the facial hair is starting to give me a little bit more confidence. But aside from that, I do feel like I'm coming into my own.
So is there maybe any comfort in the fighting environment itself there, right? It's not quite as chaotic and hectic as maybe a big arena or whatever. Is there anything that's more comfortable in the Apex for you?
No, I wouldn't say it. I've always been comfortable in crisis situations, I feel. If you looked at my career and all my fights, it seems like I'm always smiling and always calm and collected during the fight. And it's because this is the only place that I feel like I can free myself, or I can really relax. I have to relax. I'm in a crisis situation. It's like when I'm in a car accident, your body must go limp or you will break something. So in those times, it's best to learn how to bend. And I like being flexible, so I like putting myself in those situations to see how far I can bend.
Rare situation where your opponent actually has more experience than you do. I mean, does that factor in? Although you don't really, breaking down tape and studying everybody, but when you see a guy has that many fights, does that change the dynamic for you at all?
Well, having a number of fights and having experiences are quite different. It really depends on what you learn from every fight and what you take from it, whether you improve from the outside eye or not. But how much do you learn? How much do you grow from within yourself? There's a lot of people that are that has years on me and don't have the same amount of experience that I do. So to me, I don't really think about the experience levels or anything like that. The readiness and the gameness is what would probably have me more cautious than the experience.
I mean, you are kind of a senior member of the roster at this point, right? I mean, do people seek out, as crazy as that may sound, right? I mean, you've been around forever. Do people ever seek out advice, or do you see yourself as you were the kid coming in and now you're like the role model?
I mean, I don't really get asked so much for advice. I do get DMs on Instagram, and people I want to start my career. What should I do and stuff like that. But other than that, I don't know. I still see myself in a position to where, and to be frank, people don't really believe in me. I could be on a win streak, I could be winning, but then it's oh, well, he doesn't really know what he's talking about or doing. I still get that kind of notion every once in a while, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I mean, a lot of the times when things change, they often point at the person changing the things as if they don't know what they're doing or talking about, because breaking tradition or breaking the mold seems to be a little bit bothersome to some people.
Did you ever feel along the way that maybe I need to conform, maybe I need to change the way I say it, or did you always know, no, I believe in the path that I'm walking?
No, there's always doubts. There's always doubts. It's whether you let the water into your ship or not. It's the crucial matter. But there's always doubts. There's been doubts. I've been vegan for about 10 years, and there's been doubts about my diet. Oh, maybe I'm not doing this because I'm eating this way or that way, and then I prove myself wrong, and time makes a fool of me as well. But aside from that, there's been plenty of doubts. I've doubted for a long time that I don't have power, that I can't hit people hard, and then we go and prove myself wrong again, And so it's beginning to come together, and it has to do a lot with believing in myself.
Last thing for me, do you have a master plan? And I know you're a martial artist at heart, but I know you also have a lot of interests outside of the sport as well. Have you thought about how long you want this fighting in the UFC at the highest level to be part of your life versus chasing those same passions without the competition?
Haven't really given it too much thought. I feel like I can have a very long career. I don't feel like I'm slowing down. Like I feel like I'm coming into my own just now. I don't feel a day older than when I started. If anything, I feel more athletic, more cardiovascularly sound, sometimes more younger than I was when I was in my 20s, to be honest with you. I think I'm, how would you say, hitting those final stages of puberty, I guess. Like I'm starting to get like a crazy amount of energy. I want to work out more. I get bouncy if I don't work out and stuff like that. So like I just enjoy the progression. I enjoy the improvement every single day, 1% better every single day. And that's really the journey. It has nothing to do with whether I'm in the UFC or not, or how long I'm going to be here. It's how long I want to keep fighting. And if I'm fighting and it so happens to be in the highest echelon of mixed martial arts, then so be it. But aside from that, I just want to see the extent of my physical ability before I am too old to continue to see that progression. All right.
Tim, welcome back. Over a year away, I guess. How good maybe does it feel to be here, just on a fight week again?
Oh man, it feels great. This is where I'm in my element. I feel awkward pretty much everywhere outside of this arena. So it's nice to finally be someplace where I feel like I belong.
Yeah, obviously a pretty tumultuous time in your personal life. I guess your decision to kind of share that with the world and open up. I mean, any regrets in that, or happy that you did that? What's your take?
I got a lot of support, I guess you could say. So I don't know. I'm not happy or sad about it. I just I felt like it was something that I needed to do. And again, it wasn't to take a stab at anybody. It was more for my own personal issues, I guess. And it helped at the time of finding out. And when I first left for Texas, I was like walking around at 128 pounds, like couldn't finish a practice without being injured. I was just frail. And here just the other day, I was 152, so my weight's back up, my spirits are back up, and I'm able to actually be a good training partner and a teammate for my team, which is important to me.
Yeah, I guess in some ways, was it good to like get that burden off your chest, to share that? I mean, I don't know, people deal with tragedy and stuff all the time, right? And they just kind of hide it, and then they never really get to address it. I mean, in any way, it was just like putting it out to the world, like almost helpful for you?
It really was. The thing is like I was the only one wearing it. Like my ex and the person that she is with now, they were living in my city, dating, being cool, and everybody thought that we separated because, I don't know, she said that I wanted to force her to move to Texas, or she said that we separated because of, I don't even know what the reasons were, but it wasn't the reasons that were the real reasons. So then I would come to my city and where I live, where my home is at, and people were telling me, oh, I heard you and Gina split up because of this or because of this. And then every interview they were asking me, well, how's Gina? How are you guys doing? And I was lying and making up excuses to protect these guys. And every time I did that, it was hurting me. And after it got out there, nobody was asking me anymore. I was getting like, oh, are you going to corner Kevin Kroom in his next bare knuckle fight again? And I had to be like, oh, no, we're not really cool anymore. No, Gina and I aren't really together anymore. And they would ask why, and I was like searching to make up excuses and lying for them to protect them. At the same time, that was hurting myself. And not even myself, what it was doing, it was making me, I was shelling up. I wasn't able to be a good dad. And I felt like not a great person before, and I felt like not a great fighter before, but I've never not felt like a great dad. So that was something that I had to change. I had to change for myself, and I had to change for my daughter. And after releasing it and getting a bunch of support, which, I don't know if that's what helped or just getting it off my chest, but I'm good. I'm feeling like I'm back to my normal self again.
That's awesome. Well, the relationship with the daughter obviously means most, but I guess the relationship with the sport, like, was that tough at all? Like, because obviously that's so much of your professional life as well. Was there any party that was just like, I don't know if I want to be around this sport anymore?
Yeah, it wasn't that I didn't know if I wanted to be around the sport. I just didn't know if I was going to be able to handle it. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to stay in Kansas City with my team and train. Like, Zach Cummings has a gym there now, and, I've cornered him in the UFC. He's cornered me in the UFC. Trey Ogden has a gym in Kansas City now, and we've been close for a long time. Those are places that I felt like I would have maybe been able to train at, but, those guys still go there and train or live there, and it was one of those things where I was either going to end up hurt or hurting somebody else or getting in trouble. So I was just lucky enough to be able to have a spot to go in Texas with Chris Brennan and Next Generation Mixed Martial Arts. It kind of saved my ass, really.
What's that relationship been like? Because Chris Brennan, maybe if people aren't old school, might not know who he is, but obviously the things he's accomplished, he's carrying on the lineage as well. But I guess what's it like being there? How's the adjustment been?
Man, it's unreal. And he's a legend in MMA. The real fans know that. But this is the first time in my whole life I feel like a professional athlete, and I feel like me giving 10% of my purse and everything that I make to a guy is well warranted. He lets me live in his beautiful house. All my meals they have somebody making all my meals, laying out my supplements. My schedule's laid out. They have a routine in the morning, and they don't drink, they don't smoke, they go to bed early. Like, everything is done really, really right and tight, and like I need that. I need that military style, like somebody standing over me telling me what to do. I crave that, and if I have that, I'm going to do good things. And I'm lucky enough, like I don't have to ask for anything; they just do. And I'm really blessed to be able to have that.
The matchup, does it mean anything to you? I mean, it seems like part of this is just like, let me just get back in there and fight. I don't give a hell. I don't care who it is.
Yeah. So originally it was Alan Nascimento, and then it changed to some Russian guy who had visa issues, and then it was back to Alan Nascimento, but at a later date. And I told him, like, I can't I can't fight at a later date. Like, I want to go back and see my kid. That's been the hardest part of this. I've been 6 weeks, I'm going back and seeing my kid once every 2 or 3 weeks. Like, she's always been with me. Her and I moved to Las Vegas when she was 1. Just the two of us. She's comes to my fights, come to my fight camp. She used to live at the PI here pretty much whenever we were here. So to be away from her was really hard. Then they said they had an opponent for June 3rd, and then it went back to, no, it's Nascimento on June 24th. And after that, I was like, hey, if that's the case, I want to be guaranteed my show money when this guy pulls out again, because I'm not going to wait around for this guy to pull out again, because I had a feeling that he was. They said, yeah, that's fine. And then a couple hours later, they called me and said that I got Victor Altamirano on June 3rd. So as far as the matchup goes, I couldn't pick a better stylistic matchup for me. It's with Nascimento, I was going to have to fight reserved and fight a boring fight, and I don't like that. With Victor, I can go out there and be 100% Tim Elliott and have a good time.
I think I saw at one point during this layoff, like you tweeted, like, "Why am I still in the rankings at this point?" Like, was that you, like, was that maybe being in the depths, like being frustrated, or did you really feel that way, or what was that about?
Well, I mean, I know it's based on activity, and I haven't fought in almost 2 years. Like, well, I just was wondering, like, what are these guys doing? Like, are they just keep me in there just to have me in there? I mean, it's nice, but I just assumed after a year layoff, like, I would, be out of the top 12, 13, 14, 15. I just was surprised. And mostly on Twitter, I just like talking shit, so it's easy.
All right. Last thing for me, I guess. Man, talk to me about where you feel like you are in your career, right? You have had to laugh. You had to deal with all this personal stuff. Is it more about, like, let's just get through this fight and see what happens? Or are you, like, refocused, re-energized? Like, where do you feel your career's going?
Oh, man, I've never been more excited, really. Again, I'm getting older. I'm getting maybe a little bit slower. My cardio maybe a little bit not up to par from what it used to be, but my skills and my technique and my fight IQ and my coach and my team is at an all-time high. So I'm never going to be able to out-train these young guys. I'm never going to be able to outwork these young guys. But what I can do is I can out-game plan them. I can do my diet, my nutrition, my morning routine. I can do all that better than everybody because I have a coach that's forcing me to do that. So it's really, I'm feeling like a professional athlete. I feel like I'm in the NFL. Like I'm taking care of my body. I'm not drinking no more. I'm doing everything right for a 36-year-old guy fighting a bunch of young kids.
Hey, Tim.
Yes, sir.
Were you surprised at how much support that you got after you released your personal news? Like, it seemed like the entire MMA community was like backing you.
Yeah, it was. The MMA community can be kind of mean and kind of cruel. So I got a little bit of that, but for the most part, everybody was really supportive. And I ended up pulling the post down, I think, after 9 million people went across my Twitter. But the support that I was getting was great from the MMA community, but a lot of it was guys who had went through something similar, not just being, cheated on, but like even on their wedding night. And I was surprised at how many people, and after reading hundreds of that, and people telling me like, it's going to take this amount of time or this amount of time, but you're going to get better. It's going to end up being a good thing for you. It actually made me feel better. And yeah, honestly, I don't know if I would have made it to the fight without, feeling better, because where I was at wasn't a good spot.
You said that you're currently on a bad luck gym streak. Are you hoping that this is going to be your new good luck one?
Yeah, man. Well, I'm putting everything into this gym and everything into this team and everything into this coach. And I told Chris Brennan, I was like, I moved to Las Vegas to train with Robert Follis. He killed himself. I was living at his house. I moved to Kansas City to train with Glory MMA, and the FBI shut the gym down. So I was like, I hope you're ready. And he said, he's like, I like a challenge. So here we are, and, we'll see.
And then just finally, just with this training camp, and like you said that your daughter's in a private school, so like, going forward, are you just going to come out to Texas, or are you looking to like maybe bring your daughter out to Texas as well?
At first, I thought I would try it out and see, but after being there, I feel like that's got to be the place for me. Plus, and I asked for this, but Chris told me like he don't want guys just coming in just for camps, and it's not fair for me to come there for a camp and have the team help me and me not be there to help them whenever I'm out of camp. So my goal is to find a spot there, win this fight, find a spot there, buy a house, and take my daughter out there. I put my daughter in kind of a hard position, but she's 8 and she's well adjusted. And I asked her, I was like, do you want to stay in your school with your friends that you have here, or do you want to come to Texas with me? And she said right away, like, I want to go wherever you go. So that's what we're going to do. That's the goal anyway.
First of all, awesome that your daughter said that. That must mean a lot to you as a father. I wanted to go back to the tweet itself. I've tweeted some stuff that's got a big reaction. I know as the notifications come through, you're a bit like, oh shit, what have I done? I've never had 9 million people look at my tweet. Was there a moment when you put it out there that you're like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that? Or was it the moment you put it out there, you're like, oh, finally, relief?
I kind of went back and forth on it, and I don't know that it was the right thing, but for me, it was the right thing. And again, it was not to try to hurt anybody else. It was 100% to try to help myself. And I didn't know if it was going to hurt or help, but I knew the position that I was in and how I was feeling, that it wasn't going to be good. I was going to wind up in jail or hurt or, even worse. So I don't regret anything. But again, I don't wish any hard feelings on anybody, especially not Gina. Like, I love her. Like, I still love her and I care about her, but like, I just can't be in her life or can't have anything to do with her. And, it is what it is.
I commend you and thank you for answering these questions. I'm sure it's a bit awkward and not great.
Hey, Tim, just one over here. I know you said there's a lot of guys that have reached out to you that have kind of been in the similar situation or dealing with mental health issues. What advice would you give guys that are, having relationship troubles or dealing with mental health issues? What kind of advice would you give them?
Man, especially for fighters, I know it's hard to ask for help or to talk to people, but for me, that was and I didn't even have it in me to really ask for help. I just put it out there, and then people offered the help. And surprisingly enough, it helped a ton with other people's experiences and stuff. And then not only that, the MMA community, like Lando Venata messaged me on Twitter, like, he's my favorite fighter to watch. And I don't know if he knows that, but he sent some words of encouragement that really helped. Chris Levin messaged me. Like, I had like legit fighters and fathers and husbands like coming to me and telling me. Sean Strickland just tapped me on the shoulder and gave me some words of encouragement. I was like, holy shit. So like, I don't know, it's all been positive, and I don't think I would have got the help that I needed without putting it out there and asking for it. And I put it out there, so technically I was asking for it. And just, it's hard for a man to ask for help, especially a fighter. Like, you're supposed to be like a certain type of guy. And, I was weak. I was weak in those moments. And, I'm a soft dude, like outside of the cage. Like, I'm sensitive. I'm an emotional person. It's just who I am. And I care about everybody, like the people that I don't know, and I can't help it. So, I take shit personally and I take it to heart. So it was devastating. But again, I had so many people giving me positive information that it's easy to go past and shuck off the bad ones. So that would be my only advice.